Not so long ago, this was me. I was obese, sad, and lonely, and I felt like I was going to be stuck like that forever. But fast forward to today, I've lost 70 pounds of fat whilst gaining 8 pounds of muscle, and I've never felt better. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through step by step exactly what I would do if I had to lose all of my fat again, so that if you're in a similar position, you can do the same. So let's get into it. The absolute first thing I would do is work out what a calorie deficit is for me, because without that, everything else is absolutely useless. You have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat. And if you're not, no amount of training or dieting will do anything. So by using a TDEE calculator, I would work out my maintenance calories, which essentially means the amount of calories I need to eat daily to maintain my current body weight. I would then subtract 500 calories from that number. That way I would lose 1 pound of body fat per week, which is sustainable and I could adhere to it for a long period of time. A mistake I made a few years ago was trying to adhere to some crazy calorie deficit. I'm talking 1,000 calories per day or more. And all that did for me is crash my hormones, crash my energy levels, and I ended up losing muscle as well as fat. So whilst the idea of losing 2 to 3 pounds of body fat per week sounds amazing in theory, unless I wanted to feel like shit constantly, crash my hormones, crash my libido, crash my energy, and burn off all of my muscle, I would stick to a moderate 500 calorie deficit. In terms of my actual diet, I would focus on the only macro that matters, protein. Making sure I get 1 gram of protein per pound of my desired body weight. Back when I was 248 pounds, my desired body weight was 200 pounds, so therefore I'd eat 200 grams of protein per day. That may sound like a lot, but if you structure your meals in the right way and prioritize protein with every single meal, it adds up really quickly. My meals would be really simple, built around foods like chicken, beef, eggs, salmon, Greek yogurt, whey protein, and tuna. I would avoid trying to eat clean, and by clean I mean cutting out every single food and drink I enjoy and trying to only eat chicken, broccoli, and rice. I tried to eat clean back in 2022 and it was an absolute disaster. After 1 week I broke and I ended up binge eating and I ended up heavier than I was before I started my diet. So instead I would follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of my calories come from single ingredient whole foods like meat, potatoes, rice, veg, and fruit, and 20% of my calories come from pretty much whatever I want as long as I'm adhering to my calorie deficit and my protein target. I would also utilize recipes that replicate my favorite foods but contain half the calories and double the protein. Here are 2 of my own recipes. That's a double cheese smash burger that I'm telling you tastes exactly the same as Five Guys but has 60 grams of protein, and that's a spicy barbecue chicken pizza wrap, which is honestly my favorite go-to snack. If you hate your diet, how can you ever expect to stick to it for long enough to see results? That's why you have to build a diet that 1, fits your goals, and 2, you can adhere to for a long period of time so that you reach your goals. Don't fall for all the clean eating bullshit, and don't fall for all these fad diets out there like carnivore and keto unless you can stick to it for long enough to see your results. Fat loss comes from being consistent over time, not trying to be perfect for a week or 2 and then falling off. So I have my calorie deficit set and I have my diet in place. Now it's time to structure my training so that I 1, burn fat, and 2, maintain or even build muscle mass. I get myself in the gym 3 to 4 times per week, and to begin with I would follow a simple split, either push-pull legs if I was doing 3 days or upper lower if I was doing 4 days. I would focus most of my time on compound movements like squats, rows, bench press and pull-ups, and I would add in accessory movements like bicep curls and lateral raises to make sure I'm hitting everything with enough volume to stimulate growth. All my workouts would have one focus and one focus only: progressive overload. In simple terms, that means increasing the load every single workout, whether by 0.1 pounds or 1/2 rep. That is the most important thing if you want to see continued progress. I wouldn't waste my time chasing pumps or following some BS exercises from Instagram, nor would I try and train 7 days a week, because that's going to lead to burnout and overtraining. So as long as I was consistently hitting my major muscle groups with 16 sets per week and my minor muscle groups with 8 sets per week, and focusing on progressive overload, I would see results. Now when it comes to cardio, I would do 2 types. Firstly, daily steps, and secondly, a form of intense cardio. My daily step count would be 10,000. That's enough to burn an extra 500 calories per day at the weight I was. And it isn't too many that I can't do that every day. I would walk to everywhere that takes me 20 minutes or less to get to. So for me, that would be to and from work, to the supermarket, to the gym, and to my grandma's house. On top of that, if I hadn't hit my step count by 7 p.m, I would go out on an evening walk to make sure I reached my target. Steps are an absolute game changer when you're overweight. When I was 248 pounds, I couldn't run. If I tried to, I would absolutely fuck my joints up and I would be out of action for a week. But the thing is, I could walk every day, and that burns so many calories when it adds up over time. Over time, those daily steps are probably the most important tool when it comes to consistently burning body fat, without putting that much effort in. For my second type of cardio, my intense cardio, I would personally pick Muay Thai. One, because I absolutely love it, and two, because it burns up to 700 calories per hour. In fact, here's a picture of me at my first ever Muay Thai session. You could go with anything from boxing to jiu-jitsu to even an assault bike. But like I said, Muay Thai is what I love, and not only does intense cardio burn through calories like butter, but it's also great for your overall heart health and improves your mental health massively. Between the gym sessions, walking 10k steps a day, and throwing in 1 to 2 hard cardio sessions a week, I would have everything I need to not only shred fat, but to also build muscle mass so that I can build a physique that I'm proud of. The final and most important part of all of this is to measure my progress properly and make adjustments when needed, because without this, I will never see and maintain long-term results. The truth is, most people don't bother with this, and I used to be exactly the same. I would jump on the scale once a week, see that my weight hasn't moved, and decide to throw it all away. But if I had to lose all of my fat again, I would make sure that I do the following. Firstly, I would weigh myself every single day in the morning at the same time. The scale fluctuates all the time, depending on how much sodium is in your system, how many carbs you ate yesterday, what you had for dinner last night, if you've been to the toilet, and countless other reasons. So by weighing myself every day, I would be able to see my true body weight through the weekly average, which would give me the real picture of where I'm at. From there, if I was losing 1 pound a week, I wouldn't change anything. However, if I was losing less than 1 pound per week, I would do one of two things. I would drop my daily calorie intake by 150 calories, or I would increase my step count by 3,000 a day. And then I would review again in a week, and I would keep doing that process until I was losing 1 pound a week consistently. At some point in any fat loss cycle, the fat loss will slow down as your body adjusts to the deficit and your weight decreases. So there will be times I would have to make those adjustments. I would also change my expectations completely. Back when I was first starting to lose weight, I thought to myself, 50 pounds, okay, I can do that in 6 months, right? But that's ridiculous. And it's expectations like that that cause people to try, fail, quit, and then never try again. You have to be realistic with yourself. Look, if you have 20 pounds of fat to lose, you could probably do that in 3 to 4 months of consistent effort. But if you have 100 pounds to lose, that's not going to change overnight. You need to be realistic. That's going to take years of effort. Because once you start focusing on applying a solid plan and consistent habits, that's when it becomes way easier to stick to. And that's when the fat starts truly coming off. So there you have it. That's exactly what I would do step by step if I had to lose all of my fat again. And I can guarantee you, if you follow those steps, you will achieve a similar result. If you want some personalized help to get in the best shape you've ever been in and stay there, click the link in the description and book a one-on-one coaching application call with me. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.